like that. You outboxed the fucking best boxer in the world for rounds. You beat him at his own game. Your game plan was perfect. It's perfect. He nicked it just at the end. He nicked it at the end. He was flopping around. That's all it was. But that fight up until 10 was dead fucking level. You was outboxing the best boxer in the world. Your stock rose, mate.
You were up
rose. Like
you
come out of that with victory, mate. Like honestly, you know, if there was any doubters out there now, bro, there's fucking none now at all.
No wonder I'm drugged off my tits on antidepressants. How would you feel if you came home to this absolute horse manure released by the Daily Mail? This is an absolute bombshell article. I'm surprised that none of the other British outlets have done any sort of reporting on this, because this goes some way to answering some of the questions that we've had about what's been going on the latest with the Conor Benn saga. So this story was released 4 or 5 hours ago by Riyadh Al-Samari, who is the individual who broke the original story at Conor Benn and had an adverse finding in a sample taken by VADA X amount of months ago. Well, fuck me. Here's the latest. I'm going to read you the article. Now, let me give you the disclaimer. I am not accusing Conor Benn of intentionally taking performance-enhancing drugs. I'm not accusing Conor Benn of anything. All I do is read the news, report on the news, and allow you to form the opinion that you wish to form. So anything that I say here is my opinion. But again, I am not accusing Conor Benn of doing or taking anything or doing anything illegal. Having said that, exclusive from Riyadh Al-Samari in the Daily Mail, investigation into Conor Benn's 2 failed drugs tests is held up over a lack of cooperation with UK anti-doping, as he blames contamination and eating too many eggs. Look at this. Investigation is held up over a lack of cooperation. I have read this article, believe it or not. I've read this article from start to finish. Let me summarize it for you. It's very, very interesting. It's very, very, very interesting. What it alleges is the following. It's alleging that the investigation has been held up. It's alleging that the investigation has been held up because there is certain information that's been requested from Conor Benn, and that information hasn't been provided. According to this article and Riyadh Al-Samari, Conor Benn's team submitted a 270-page document to the WBC, right? In an attempt to have the WBC allow him to be ranked and resume his ranking in the WBC, which is apparently number 5 according to this article. Now, here's the key point. According to this article, the British Boxing Board of Control and or UKAD have asked to see this 270-page document that has been sent to the WBC. As it stands today, on the 24th of January 2023 at 7:10 in the evening, BBBOC and or UKAD do not have that 270-page document that was sent to the WBC. Let's have a read of this article. I'm going to quote it directly. While Benn's side last month submitted a 270-page dossier to the WBC inquiry, whose remit is seemingly limited to determining if the fighter can return to his place at number 5 in their welterweight standings, Sportsmail understands less cooperation may have been forthcoming for the more meaningful UKAD and Board of Control investigation that will ascertain if he faces a doping ban in this country. Continues. This is a good part. That includes Benn's team not handing over the same dossier, despite sources claiming a request had been made by the Board of Control. Let me read that again. That includes Benn's team not handing over the same dossier, despite sources claiming a request had been made with the Board of Control, or made by the Board of Control. When asked by Sportsmail if it had been shared with their investigation, Board General Secretary Robert Smith confirmed it had not, but declined to comment further. So, according to this article by Riyadh Al-Samari, you've got 2 investigations going on right now. You've got one by the WBC, and you've got one by BBOC/UKAD, right? The investigation from the WBC, as far as I'm aware, has absolutely no power to ban him from boxing or do anything like that. So, WBC investigation, as far as I've heard, and as far as Riyadh Al-Samari is aware, that's why he said here, the WBC inquiry, whose remit is seemingly limited to determining if the fighter can return to his place at number 5 in their welterweight. So the WBC can't ban him or do anything. The only thing the WBC can do, according to this article, is decide whether Conor Benn can resume his position at number 5 in the welterweight standings or not. Now, for that investigation, they've been provided with a 270-page document. But according to Riyadh Al-Samari, when the British Boxing Board of Control, who it's believed is working in tandem with UK anti-doping, when they asked to see a copy of said 270-page document so they can make some form of decision, again, it's alleged that both UKAD and the BBOC are investigating, and it's being alleged that UKAD are looking into the possibility of restricting, shall we say, Conor Benn from boxing in the United Kingdom. This is why Riyadh Al-Samari refers to it as the more meaningful investigation. Sportsmail understands less cooperation may have been forthcoming for the more meaningful UKAD and Board of Control investigation that will ascertain if he faces a doping ban in this country. So, that is the latest from Conor Benn. The latest. The latest is he's able to go on Twitter and he's able to have back and forths with fans on Twitter insisting that he's innocent, that there's no holes in the truth and that science will exonerate him, right? He's able to do that. He's able to have a back and forth with fans on Twitter and tell them that the science is going to prove him innocent. He's got time to do that. But he hasn't got time, or his team don't have the time to supply the British Boxing Board of Control with the same 270-page document that he sent to the WBC so that they can make a reliably informed decision on whether he should be banned or not banned. Richard, you're my resident lawyer here. Am I still within legal bounds? If I am, press 1. If I'm not, press 2. So he's got time for stuff like this. He's got time to tweet Lewis Norman and tell Lewis Norman all about his situation. Think I'm spending thousands on legal fees and scientist fees for shits and giggles. He's got time to respond to randoms on Twitter. But when the British Boxing Board of Control want to see his defence, and that's the key in it, they want to know, what is your defence? Conor Benn has said, look, think I'm spending thousands on legal and scientist fees for shits and giggles. According to the article by Riyadh Al-Samari, all the British Boxing Board of Control want to do is they want to see this evidence that you have paid thousands of pounds for. That's what they're asking for. Think I'm spending thousands on legal and scientist fees for shits and giggles? All the BBOC are asking is, well, Mr. Benn, would you share some of this information and evidence that you spent thousands on? Would you please share some of that information with us? Will you tell us what your scientists have found? Can you tell us what the evidence for your defence is so that we can make an informed decision? According to Riyadh Al-Samari, that document or those pages of evidence have not been provided. How do you feel about that? Guys in the comment section, there was a very, very interesting comment there, and part of it I actually do agree with and thought about it beforehand. And who is it by? I hope he hasn't deleted the comment, because it was a very, very good one. And Richard responded to it. Here we go, it's Clouds Gaming. The problem is, Benn is no longer licensed under the British Boxing Board of Control. So they have no right to request anything from him unless it's criminal, which in this case is civil. I definitely think there's an element of truth to what you're saying, my friend, because I thought exactly the same thing when I sat and read this article. British Board of Control may be able to request it, but he might not be obligated to provide them with anything, because he has relinquished his license, hasn't he? He's quote unquote, is that I got that right? He's chosen not to renew his license with the British Boxing Board of Control. The very, very organisation that would have the power to ban him from boxing if he was licensed. But he's not licensed, is he? He's not renewed his license with the one organisation, or one of the only organisations that's actually able to ban him from boxing in the UK. Richard, is that correct or not, Richard? Let me know. That's interesting. That's interesting. I'm sure that wasn't done deliberately. I'm sure nobody did that deliberately. I'm sure that's just purely by accident. I'm sure it's purely by accident. What do you guys think? Does this strike you as Does this strike you as a fully transparent investigation where both sides have access to all the information so they can make an informed decision? Press 1 if you think it's if you think this investigation is a fully transparent information where both sides have access to all the information. I'm talking about the UKAD BBOC investigation. Do you think that's a fully transparent investigation? Oh, Tony's here. Tony says, I've been spending thousands on my Lambo, but I can't show proof of it at this time. But I do own one. This is some investigation, isn't it? This is a hell of an investigation. It seems like, to me, it seems like because Conor Benn isn't currently licensed with the British Boxing Board of Control, it does seem like that's a bit of a roadblock, isn't it, in the investigation? Is that a fair comment? I've got to be very careful what I say. But is that a fair comment, guys? Does it seem to you that Conor Benn not renewing his license or not having his license renewed or not having a license with the British Boxing Board of Control, it seems like, unfortunately, that is proving to be a rather significant roadblock in the relevant information being provided. In the relevant information being provided. But like I said, you know, they say that I'm a cynic. So I'm sure this is all coincidence. I'm sure none of these dots and lines add up anywhere. I'm sure this is just one big fucking coincidence, all right? And maybe I'm just looking too much into this. Tony's review says, isn't the same thing that Fury did to get out of his case. I've got to be careful what I say, but some people online are saying yes. Some people have also believed that Conor Benn's been represented by the same lawyers or lawyer who represented Tyson Fury as well. So people would say there are some parallels going on there. I hope that's answered your question, Tony. So, there you go. I've got to be super careful here. All I can do is report the news. Think I'm spending thousands on legal and scientist fees for shits and giggles. I would love to see it. Do you know what? I know that Gabriel Montoya is chomping at the fucking bit to get hold of this 200-page document, you know? Like, Gabriel Montoya, and he's one of the last guys you want on it. Gabriel Montoya is chomping at the bit to get hold of this 200-page document. I'd like to have a look at it myself. I can't remember the last time I read 270 pages before. But for Monsieur Conor Benn, I'm looking to make an exception and read it. Also, and this does come across as more speculation than cast iron fact. But Riyadh Al-Samari says here the following about Conor Benn. He has previously indicated contamination could be the cause, with his team believed to be exploring the links between the substance and heavy consumption of chicken eggs. He has previously indicated that contamination could be the cause, with his team believed to be exploring the links between the substance and heavy consumption of chicken eggs. What do you want me to say to this? No, but what do you want me to say to this? Let me. Apparently, I thought it was me bringing a sports disrepute. I thought Ultratech was the problem in British boxing, innit? Ultra Tech was the problem in British boxing. I've been told for years, British boxing's fine. It's just negative people like Ultra Tech that are bringing the sport down. They don't love the sport. They got agendas. Oh, he's always all about Frank Warren. Oh, don't listen to Ultra Tech. British boxing is an absolute fucking disgrace from top to bottom. It's a disgrace. And it needs to be shut down ASAP. Got a 26-year-old grown man who weighs 74 kilos. And he's one of the most dangerous men in the country. Blaming fucking chicken eggs. Chicken eggs. For 2 adverse findings in 2 fucking months for the same substance. Last question before I go on this. Can anybody tell me any other circumstances in a fight sport where it's been found that someone has tested positive for Clomid on multiple occasions because of contamination via chicken eggs? Who has tested positive for Clomid? Can we have a look here? Is it true that Brock Lesnar tested positive for Clomid? Is that true or not true? Can somebody, if that's true, press 1. If that's untrue, press 2. Did Brock Lesnar test positive for Clomid? Right. According to the chat, that's true. So are you telling me there's a possibility that Brock Lesnar tested positive for Clomid because he was eating lots and lots of fucking chicken eggs? Chael Sonnen. You telling me Chael Sonnen tested positive for Clomid, according to Mark Stanton, because he may have ingested contaminated chicken eggs? Yeah? That's what you want me to believe, yeah? So when everybody else tests positive for Clomid, it's a different story. But when a UK fighter tests positive for Clomid, it's fucking chicken eggs. Well, I don't know what to say about this. Other than, I tell you what, let me ask you one last question and then we'll move on to Anthony Joshua. Oh my God, April the 1st, can you believe this stuff? Before we move on to our good friend Anthony Joshua, can I ask you guys a question on this? In fact, let me give you a poll. We've got 112 in the chat. I'd appreciate it if you hit the like button during these episodes. The reason why I asked you to hit the like button during these episodes in particular is because I'm covering a topic that a lot of other people don't seem to want to cover. I don't know if you guys have noticed that. Have you guys noticed that? A lot of people don't seem to want to talk about this. And I think we know the reason why they don't want to talk about it. When you're on the payroll, it's probably best to keep your mouth shut. When you're on the payroll. The ironic thing is, I'm supposed to be on the payroll. So how come I'm talking about it though? Do you find that funny, innit? How I'm supposed to be on the payroll, but I'm one of the only people that's following this story. But everybody else who's not on the payroll won't touch it with a fucking barge pole. That's a bit weird, isn't it? Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a poll. Do you have any faith in the Conor Benn UKAD BBBOC investigation finding the truth? if you're on YouTube and you look right now, there's a poll for you. 112 people in here, only 32 likes. If you can get the likes up, that'd be fantastic. There's your answer. Do you have any faith that this investigation is going to find out the truth into why Conor Benn had 2 adverse findings for this substance in his system within the space of X months? I don't. I think this investigation's only going one way. And I think you'll be seeing Conor Benn back in a ring very, very, very soon. Is that fair or not? You know what I find funny as well? Quickly. We had Tony on Friday. We had Tony on Saturday night for the Eubank versus Smith fight. And Tony's saying, I can't understand how a guy like Liam Smith goes from having moderate levels of power to looking absolutely devastating against Chris Eubank Jr. Now, I believe that's down to weight draining, right? But Tony said he thought maybe there was something else in play. And people jumped on him. But can I ask you a question? If you were from another country and you looked at the fucking state of UK boxing and you looked at the state of some of these investigations, can you blame them? When you hear stories like this, when you hear stories that investigations are being held up due to lack of cooperation and people blaming chicken eggs, can you blame people who don't live in this country and watch from afar to think, well, fuck me, what can I trust now? All of a sudden, we've got all these guys coming out of gyms and they're massive punchers. What can I believe? What can I not believe? Listen, I learned a long time ago, anybody who believes in boxing is an idiot. Anybody who believes in boxing is an idiot. Simple as that. Right, who wants to talk about Anthony Joshua and his pay-per-view fight on April the 1st against Jermaine Franklin? Press 1 if you'd like to talk about Anthony Joshua's pay-per-view fight against Jermaine Franklin on April Fool's Day. Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time again. It's that time again. It's time for AJ Watch.
Cause I'm coming for them belts, boy. You're gonna see the raft of the new champ. Different energy, different spirit. Coming to win. I tried to learn boxing, stick and move. Isolating the sweet science of the sport, doctrinating my style. But we're going back to the raw, rugged streets. That's where I belong. I never followed no athletes growing up, no movie stars. I followed the hustlers, the Rayful Edmonds, the Jeff Ports, the Nicky Barnes, the Big Meaches, the Larry Hoovers. You understand me? They're the people that gave me that inspiration, the ones that came up from the streets to the top of the world, the empires, the bangers, the hustlers.
It's the return of Big Meech. Big Meech is returning. I was going to say that exact line, Richard. Big Meech is returning to the rough and raw, rugged streets on April the 1st versus one Mr. Jermaine Franklin. According to Monsieur Benson and and Boxing Scene, Anthony Joshua versus Jermaine Franklin has reportedly been now finalised and will take place April the 1st at the O2 Arena in London. I'll be honest with you, and you tell me what you think. I'm not really that interested in this fight. I will go round to a friend's house and watch it. But I have to ask you about this being pay-per-view. How do you feel in the comments about this fight being pay-per-view on April the 1st? Just out of interest. For me personally, Anthony Joshua's taken the loss. I think he's more than entitled to take a tune-up fight. To be honest, I think he should have taken a tune-up fight instead of Usyk. So, I don't begrudge Anthony Joshua the tune-up. He can fight whoever he wants. I don't really care. But I'm just interested to find out how you guys think about this being a pay-per-view fight. And I'm asking you, I asked you on Saturday, and I want to ask you again. We've got 130 people in here. If you would like to hit the like button, please feel free to hit the like button. If you would like to be part of the chat, please feel free to subscribe. Would you consider that a worse pay-per-view than Fury versus Chisora 3? Or a better pay-per-view? Or do you think they're both shit? How do you feel about that? Because Fury versus Chisora pay-per-view, right, was a fucking disgrace. We know that. I didn't pay for it. And it's alleged that I'm an employee of Queensby Promotions. And I came on here and told you, there ain't no fucking way on this planet I'm playing pay-per-view for fucking glorified sparring. Also known as Tyson Fury versus Derek Chisora 3. Right? You know I ain't paying for that shit. I was vocal about that. I'm not paying for Fury versus Chisora. Forget that. Fight's a waste of space. Forget that. The only thing I was interested to see with that fight was, would Frank be able to get 60,000 morons, yeah, to turn up and watch it live? I'm not a pocket counter. I don't spend my time counting other people's pockets. However, it is alleged that the total attendance that turned up to watch Tyson Fury and Derek Chisora in said freezing cold stadium in the middle of December was 59,700. That's the alleged attendance on the night. But there was a lot of outrage, wasn't there, regarding Tyson Fury versus Derek Chisora. Now, look, one thing you've got to remember is Anthony Joshua was coming off a loss and Tyson Fury was coming off a win and Tyson Fury fought Chisora. So I'm not saying that it's worse or better, but I want to get your view. Do you feel that the people who are absolutely outraged at Fury versus Chisora being pay-per-view, which was not worth it, obviously, should be outraged at Jermaine Franklin versus Anthony Joshua? You know what? I hate the whole resume thing, but I just did this out of interest because, you know, people, not me. I don't talk about resumes because I was in a boxing gym last night. That's why I don't hear me talk about resumes. Even with tonsillitis and a fucked up jaw, I still went boxing gym last night and did a few rounds of technical sparring with my mate. I ain't got time for all that resume bullshit. But if we play the resume game with Jermaine Franklin, what I'm doing here is, if you see, I don't really care, but I'm sort of applying the same standards that people apply to other pay-per-view fights. So what do, right? They check the resume and they go, well, who is he for? What's his resume? Well, if you look at Jermaine Franklin's resume, he's got a majority decision loss against Dillian Whyte, which he really won, in my opinion. And then he's fought Rodney Moore, Pavel Sauer. This Jerry Forrest fight is very interesting because I haven't seen it, but people have told me that that was a very, very dodgy decision and that he really lost that fight. But he's been in a ring with, other than Dillian Whyte, he has been in a ring with Rodney Moore, Pavel Sauer, Jerry Forrest, Rydell Booker, Craig Lewis, Egg Fountain, Corey Phelps, Tyrell Wright, Daniel Pasicola, etc., etc. And now he finds himself on pay-per-view against Anthony Joshua. How do you guys feel about that? Would you be purchasing it? Do you think it's worth the money? I don't know. Like I said before, I think Fury, possibly you could say he might be worse because Fury wasn't coming off a loss and he was a WBC champion and he still fought a glorified tomato can in Derek Chisora just to give him a payday. But I'm just saying, is this fight that much better? I don't think so. How do you think you feel about that? Anthony Joshua versus Jermaine Franklin. for April the 1st. Tony's saying Chisora did better against Usyk than AJ. It's Styles, isn't it, Tony? Styles. And Chisora always did better than both White and Wilder against Chisora. Excuse me. And Chisora always did... Oh, also... Oh, I get it, Tony. Also, Chisora always did better than both White and Wilder against Fury, you mean? Yeah. So I know what you're saying. Chisora did better against Usyk than AJ did. And he was better against Fury than both White and Wilder. I would actually agree with you. Would you guys agree with Tony's statement there? That Chisora was better against Fury than both White and Wilder. Well, actually, no, not Wilder. No way, because Wilder nearly knocked him out 4 times. Excuse me. But would you agree there with Tony's statement? Would you agree with some of it? Would you agree that Derek Chisora did better than Dillian White did against Tyson Fury? And would you agree that Chisora did better against Usyk than AJ? Certainly first time around. Maybe second time around AJ did better, because AJ was very, very good in the rematch. What I'm saying is, I think we're splitting hairs there. What do you think? I think that isn't a very good pay-per-view fight. Maybe the Fury one's worse. Maybe the Fury one's worse. But yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing if we get some form of outrage. Let's go through the comments. Let's see what the comments say. The comments were actually relatively positive. Anyone that watched White versus Franklin knows this is a decent bout for AJ to get back in the mix. Not an incredible opponent, but a decent challenge. Do you know what? I think that's a very, very fair assessment. For Anthony Joshua, I would say it's the right type of fight. Does that make sense what I'm saying? For Anthony Joshua, is this the right fight at the right time for Anthony Joshua? For me, yes it is. What I'm saying is, how do you feel about it being pay-per-view? Pay-per-view. What an awful bout. AJ's career is a sad story, not gonna lie. Needs to build his confidence back up. He ain't taking tough fights anytime soon. The guy lost to White decisively. No, he did not. I thought Jermaine Franklin won the fight. Yeah, how do you feel about it? Let me go through your comments. Sorry, I'm asking you questions and I'm not reading your comments. How do you feel about it as pay-per-view? Super Sardonic says, this is a fresh matchup. Very true. And Franklin will think he will, excuse me, and Franklin will at least think he might have a chance. Not pay-per-view worthy. Anthony Joshua is going to get Jermaine Franklin out of there inside 5 rounds, in my opinion. And you can hold me to that. I'm telling you, Anthony Joshua is on such a level above Dillian White. I don't know why people keep putting Anthony Joshua and Dillian White on the same level. They're really not even close, in my opinion. I'm being deadly serious, like. Just look at their attributes, right? I'm not talking about resumes, who draws more money, who's a star, all that fucking shit. I don't care about that. I'm talking about if you look at their attributes. To me, Anthony Joshua is just a far superior boxer and a far superior athlete to Dillian White in almost sort of every attribute you look at. Anthony Joshua's better. You know, I'm really expecting Anthony Joshua, and I know he will. He's gonna get rid of this guy inside 5. It's not gonna make Dillian White look too good for an Anthony Joshua rematch though. But Anthony Joshua's gonna get this guy out of there. He's gonna get this guy out of there very, very quickly, because Anthony Joshua operates on a completely different level to what Jermaine Franklin. And Anthony Joshua he makes a lot of mistakes, but he's compared to Dillian White, he's a well-schooled boxer. Anthony Joshua doesn't have problems with balance in the same way that Dillian White does. Anthony Joshua doesn't fall over his own front foot in the same way that Dillian White does. Anthony Joshua doesn't cross his feet when moving side to side in the way that Dillian White does. Anthony Joshua doesn't let his back foot come off the floor when he throws the right hand like Dillian White does. That little move that Dillian White does, which is the reason why he's so susceptible to uppercuts. It's because when he throws right hands and shots like that, his back foot leaves the floor, he squares himself up and he leaves himself right down the centre line. Anthony Joshua don't make them same mistakes that Dillian White makes. That's what I'm saying. Forget resumes and all that shit. Look at the attributes, look at the skill. Anthony Joshua's on a completely different planet to Dillian White as an athlete and as a fighter. And you will see that when he fights Jermaine Franklin. Because he ain't going to struggle with Jermaine Franklin. That I can promise you. And you know I ain't the biggest fan of Anthony Joshua. But he will not struggle with Jermaine Franklin. Mark my words on that. He's going to get him out of there, and he's going to get him out of there in devastating fashion. And you can click me on that if you want. If it doesn't happen, it's fine. But click me on that if you need to. 149 in the chat. Please feel free to hit the like button. And if you'd like to be part of the chat, please feel free to subscribe. What do you guys think about the fight itself? I think it's AJ's going to win this fight inside 5 or 6. Hurts him, and when he hurts him, he's going to get rid of him. When he hurts him, he will get rid of him. Mr. Anderson says, let's not forget, Joshua's just gone 24 rounds with one of the greatest boxers of the last decade. Usyk's going to go down as one of the greatest fighters of all time. I think it's Usyk and Fury's a 50-50 fight. 50-50. All depends on what Fury shows up. If Fury shows up at anything less than 100%, I don't think he beats Alexander Usyk. And AJ, actually, if you look at them rounds in a second, he boxed with Usyk. But he boxed with him. He's on a completely different level to Dillian Whyte. There is no way that Dillian Whyte would be able to make Usyk miss and counter Usyk the way AJ was doing. AJ was getting hit loads as well. But if you look at the second fight as well, he was making Usyk miss and he was countering him. Was it the right strategy? Absolutely not. It was absolutely disgusting. But no, Tony, I wasn't planning to open up the panel, and I'm going to be gone in 15 or 30. But here's what we'll do, Tony. When the fight comes close, we always do a technical build-up to the fight, Tony. We always do a technical build-up. I'll bring you in and you do it with me. That's fine. Normally, I'll bring in Chris Andre. But if you want to do it, Tony, I'll bring you in because you've actually been to the ring and done things as well. I mean, we can bring Chris Andre as well. Chris Andre's superb. I do like some of the stuff that Chris Andre does. He came on this channel when he was absolutely brilliant, actually. Shout out to Chris Andre, actually. I need to get in touch with him. So, yeah, Tony, at some point, we'll go through it. We'll bring you on and we'll go for it at a technical level. How do you guys feel about it? Do you guys, anybody here think that Jermaine Franklin has a chance at Anthony Joshua? I'm telling you, he's getting knocked out. But he might get clipped ultra. Different style of fighting. Usyk, he's a very, very accurate puncher. Usyk whips the shots, and it's the way Usyk's a weird one because it's the way Usyk punch. It's the accuracy, but it's where the shots are coming from. Excuse me, that's what I'm trying to say. Where he throws that left hand, the way he loops the shots over. He brings them round, he loops that overhand left. A lot of fighters don't see the shot, and if they don't see it, plus its accuracy, it's a lot of things. Usyk's a sharp puncher, isn't he? Not sure if Jermaine Franklin is gonna. There's different types of power in it. Do you guys understand what I mean? Press 1 if you understand what I mean. There's different types of power. Like Joe Joyce has got what we call thudding power. Do you know what I mean? Joe Joyce has got that thudding power. He's not a snappy puncher, is he? But he's got that thudding power. Like every shot's got weight behind it. Some fighters don't have thudding power, but they have that snappy power. Where it's the speed combined with the accuracy, combined with sometimes you don't see it land flush, and that's what makes them a hurtful puncher. And that's why I place Usyk in them. I mean, you look at this sparring with Dave Allen, you could say Dave Allen's got one of the best chins in boxing. Dave Allen went, how many rounds did Dave Allen go with Dillian Whyte? And Dillian Whyte couldn't put a dent in Dave Allen, right? Dillian Whyte couldn't put a dent in Dave Allen, right? And Usyk wiped him out in sparring and had him in another dimension. And if you look at the shot he hit Dave Allen with, exactly Usyk, he whips it round the guard. It's the speed, plus the snap, plus the accuracy, plus the angle the punch is coming from. Different type of power. So I wouldn't necessarily be too harsh on AJ for getting hurt. Plus with Usyk, AJ keeps trying to box Usyk's fight. Every time AJ and Usyk box, yeah, they end up fighting Usyk's kind of fight. They end up having a high-speed chess match, don't they? They end up having a high-speed chess match. Because Anthony Joshua doesn't want to hang his chin out to dry and really leave it all on the line, does he? He wants to be able to go home and tell his grandkids that he went points with Usyk. He don't want to put his chin on the line and go for it. He don't want to put his chin on the line and absolutely go for it. Knock out or be knocked out. He don't want to do that. He's not willing to do it with Usyk. So Anthony Joshua always gets dragged into a high-speed chess match, which is why he can't beat Usyk. Always gets dragged into a high-speed chess match. This Jermaine Franklin fight is just completely different fight. He's going to get rid of him, and he's going to get rid of him in absolutely devastating fashion. Let's go through this. Harvey Brown says Franklin is another easy payday for a shot champion. Let's have a look. I agree, Super Sardonic. I agree, Lamb Chop. Franklin has about as much chance against AJ as Yard does against Beterbiev. Well, I think he's got more of a chance than Yard does against Beterbiev because heavyweight division and all that, AJ coming off 2 losses, but he ain't got much more of a chance than Yard does against Beterbiev. Yard has no chance against Beterbiev. Tell you that right now. Yard has no chance against Beterbiev. And I want Yard to win and I'll be supporting him, but I have to call it how I see it, right? He's got no chance. Biggest mismatch this year, in my opinion. Jermaine Franklin will be stopped within 6 rounds. Franklin looked good because Dillion's washed up. People are going to be shocked. Does anybody here, other than Tony, really giving Jermaine Franklin a chance? He's going to get Jermaine Franklin out of there, man. Games You Love said, did you give Ruiz a chance, Ultra? No, I didn't really give Andy Ruiz a chance, but Andy Ruiz is a completely different type of fighter to Jermaine Franklin, isn't he? You know, his record suggests he's a much harder puncher than Jermaine Franklin. You know, when I look at him, I look at his attributes. And Andy Ruiz is just a far quicker fighter than Jermaine Franklin. Looks to be, he used to have more power. Looks to have the faster hands than Jermaine Franklin. And Andy Ruiz, people forget this about Ruiz. He's got very, very underrated feet. Having good feet isn't just about dancing around the ring. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Press 1 if you agree, press 2 if you disagree. Having good footwork doesn't mean you can just dance around the ring and do the fucking alley shuffle. Where's that meme of Conor Benn doing the alley shuffle, by the way? That's hilarious. Remember Conor Benn when he was in the old days, shall we say, trying to do the alley shuffle in the old days. Cough, cough, cough. See if I can get that up. Good footwork doesn't mean that you can just, glide around the ring. That's not what good footwork is. Controlling distance and spacing, you do that with your feet. When the opponent, this is what good footwork can be. Good footwork can be this. When your opponent takes a step forward, do you adjust the distance and take a step back? Do you know how many fighters in the ring that I see that can't even do that basic thing? So here's a great example of good footwork. Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia footwork, not flashy, right? Mikey Garcia is not flashy, right? He doesn't skirt around the ring and shuffle around the ring, right? But his judgment of distance, which comes from his feet, is outstanding. His judgment of distance. His ability to see opponent takes a step forward. I'm going to adjust the distance. Do you know how hard that is to do in the ring? To people watching it on TV, it seems easy. Bro, when you're in the ring and you've got someone hurting you and throwing punches at you, you'd be surprised. You completely forget that stuff. Completely forget about that. You'd be surprised how many fighters you see that can't even do the basics with their feet, that can't even adjust the distance appropriately with their feet. That's a skill. Andrew Ruiz has excellent feet for a big guy, man. The way he controlled distance against Anthony Joshua was superb. George C says Ruiz is rarely off balance, even with the extra timber. He's superb, and he knows his limits. Like I said, he doesn't try the whole Joe Frazier thing. Bobbing and weaving, he doesn't try any of that shit. You'd be surprised. He's the shorter man in some of these fights. But you know what he does? He fights upright, he fights tall. And what does he fight on? He fights on adjusting the distance and making fighters fall short. And he parries a lot, parries and counters. So he stays in the pocket, he adjusts his feet ever so slightly, just make you fall short, and then he parries and counters. Just sits at the end of the punch, parry, counter. That's why AJ couldn't deal with him. That's why AJ couldn't deal with the pressure in the first fight. AJ couldn't deal with the pressure in the first fight. Ruiz constantly was plodding himself into range, but he was just in the pocket. And every time AJ threw the jab right hand, Ruiz just made him fall short or just parried it down. He was right at the end of the shot, parried it down, and he's got fast enough hands to counter him straight off the parry. He's a different level fighter to Jermaine Franklin. He's a completely different level fighter to Jermaine Franklin, in my opinion. AJ's beating similar turnips to Franklin. So I'm just going through. Mark Stanton says Franklin was lazy and White did have him rocked in the 12th but didn't risk finishing him. I will say I thought Franklin hurt White midway through the fight as well though. G Poker says Franklin's getting stopped in 3. No foot movement. Will be target practice for AJ. Toby Players says Franklin will be on his back within 4 rounds. I don't hate the fight. Joshua has been battered around the ring for the last 24 rounds. He deserves an easy touch before he's back in the deep end. I agree, Toby. I agree. That's pretty much exactly where I'm at with this at the minute. It's a good fight for AJ. He needs an easy fight. He deserves an easy fight. In my opinion, Anthony Joshua needs 2 or 3 easy fights. What do you think about that? I think Anthony Joshua needs 2 or 3 easy fights. I don't think it's one fight and then put him in a ring with somebody. He needs to listen. It's a rebuild job. If you want him to win again, it's a rebuild job. Mentally and physically, it's a rebuild job. He needs 1 or 2. Games You Love says, wasn't Hearn telling us he wanted Wilder? You can't put him in a ring with Deontay Wilder right now. No way. Does he have a chance to win? Yes, if the stars align, he can beat anybody because he punches hard enough to knock anybody out at any given moment. But should he be allowed in the same ring as Deontay Wilder right now? Absolutely no way on this planet. Any promoter that puts Anthony Joshua in a ring with Deontay Wilder right now, you should call the police and get him charged with attempted murder. You should be catching a case for that kind of stuff, man. No, he's not. Not ready. Not ready mentally, not ready physically, in my opinion. AG says it shouldn't be pay-per-view. Let me get rid of this Conor Benn poll. Conor Benn poll has ended. Let's have a look. 88% of you have absolutely no faith that the Conor Benn investigation led by UKAD or the British Boxing Board of Control will actually find the truth as to why Conor Benn had subsequent adverse findings for Clomid. That doesn't surprise me. Should we move on to something else now? Yeah? Should we move on to something else? I haven't been prepared, but I might have this. If you just give me a sec, I have to upload it quickly. For those of you who like a bit of promoter gossip and all this stuff, there's a lot of people on the internet who are very much into promoter gossip, aren't they? Would anybody press 1 if you would like to hear the audio of Billy Joe Saunders arguing with Ben Shalom over what seems to be a contract to fight on Sky Sports and Boxer? Press 1 if you'd like to hear that. Press 1 if you're interested in hearing about that. This is very, very interesting stuff. First and foremost, let me start off by saying, right, you all here. Hey, who's here? My man, Jason Walker. Jason, we need to get you back on the show, man. We need to get you back on the show. My email is ultratechsports@gmail.com. ultratechsports@gmail.com. Jermaine Franklin. Jason Walker. Right, you all want to hear about this. Right, let me see if I can play the audio for you. I believe we may have it. This is absolutely shocking. What do you think of this? This is Billy Joe Saunders having a back and forth with Ben Shalom over signing a contract to fight on Boxer. Press 1 if you can hear this.
You're secure anyway.
No,
Would
Ben,
that be your-
Ben. It's gone past that, mate, because we've been here now since July talking, mate.
No. So I'm saying, if I can't get you that by the end of the week, then I just give you the 100 grand. But I don't want. I actually have looked up to you growing up. I don't want this situation with you. I think I can do what you want, but I've got to the point now where I feel like Sky have fucked me, and I know you don't care about that, but that I'm not going to fuck you. And I want, look, I know you say it's gone past the stage, but if I put in a contract where you've got, like, I've got to deliver.
Now, if you don't mind, I'm just going to replay this again because the audio isn't very great. And I just want to make sure you hear it twice. I believe I've got an interpretation of what this is about. You can tell me if you think I'm right or wrong, but I'd just like to play it one more time so you can hear it nicely and clearly. This is Billy Joe Saunders released this today. This is him arguing with Ben Shalom. This is some audio.
You're secure anyway.
No,
Would
Ben,
that be all right?
Ben. It's gone past that, mate, because we've been here now since July talking, mate.
No. So I'm saying, if I can't get you that by the end of the week, then I just can do the 100 grand. But I don't want. I actually have looked up to you growing up. I don't want this situation with you. I think I can do what you want, but I've got to the point now where I feel like Sky have fucked me, and I know you don't care about that, but that I'm not going to fuck you. And I know you say it's gone past the stage, but if I put in a contract where I've got to deliver.
Do you know what? I forgot to tell everybody on Twitter that I'm live. Actually, we've done all right. We've got 156 people in here, and I actually forgot to tell everybody on Twitter that I was actually live. Jesus Christ. 156 in the chat. Please hit the like button. And if you'd like to be part of the chat, please subscribe. There is no super chat here. You don't have to pay to get your say, because, I'm not saying, you know what. Right. Let me just give you a poll very quickly. Let's get going with a poll very quickly. I want you to vote on this and then we'll have a chat. The poll is this. Was Billy Joe Saunders right to release a video of his private conversation with Ben Shalom? That's the poll. If you're on YouTube right now, if you look at the top of the screen, that poll will be available to you right now. You can vote. If you'd like to be part of the chat, please feel free to subscribe and have your say in the chat. If you'd like to hit the like button, I would appreciate the support, seeing as I put my arse on the line, covering a whole bunch of stories that nobody else wants to cover. Billy Joe Saunders releasing footage of a private conversation on Instagram. First and foremost, if I was Ben Shalom, I would never see or speak to Billy Joe Saunders ever again. Press 1 if you would agree with me on that. Press 2 if you disagree with me. Obviously, Ben's gonna speak to him because he needs to sign as many people for boxers as he can. But if you were Ben Shalom, would you ever speak to somebody like that again? Somebody who fucking puts up your private conversations on fucking Instagram for everybody to see. Especially a conversation like that where Ben has said something about Sky that is not very nice. So you're not only are you screwing Ben, but you're screwing his relationship with Adam Smith and Sky to a degree there by saying that. Now, Adam Smith, Sky and Ben Shalom will be fine. I'll tell you why in a minute. They'll be fine. But he's not showing himself in the best of light, in my opinion. I think Billy Joe Saunders, the end to his career, has been a very, very sad end to his career. I'm of the opinion that he doesn't need to come back to boxing. I'm of the opinion that he needs to stay away from boxing. I don't think he has the discipline. I don't think he ever had the discipline. Do you know what? Well, Mark would never tell me, but the stories that you hear about him with Jimmy Tibbs and he didn't want to train and he was mucking him about and all this and that, I don't know. I would love to ask Mark Tibbs, but Mark Tibbs is not a grass, so he definitely wouldn't say anything about it, and he don't talk to me anyway, even though I have a direct line. Billy Joe should stay away from the sport, for me. If he's still, especially if he's still looking like this, it's alleged, I don't know if it's true, it's alleged that he has gained a humongous amount of weight. Trying to find the photo. So, and then not only that, but have you also heard the stories about what's been going on in his life as well outside of boxing? So it's not even just the fact that he's gained weight. There's rumours about altercations that he's been getting into. Press 1 if you know what I'm talking about. You've all heard it, right? Press 1 if you know what I'm talking about. Press 1 if you've heard stories about Billy Joe Saunders being involved in fighting and involved in altercations outside of boxing. Since the Canelo fight. Yeah? Richard with the one string. We've all heard them, yeah? We've all heard stories, right? I think there was one where there was apparent video footage or something, and there was all, you guys know what I'm talking about, okay? So it is what it is. I just think what he done there was absolutely fucking rancid, in all honesty. Now, we'll talk about that in a sec. Someone is saying the 100k, is the 100k hush money? I asked somebody, okay, I asked Richard about it, and we both think the same thing. We both think, and we could be wrong. Let us know if you think it's wrong. What I think's happening here is that Saunders might be throwing his toys out of the pram because Ben Shalom might be trying to sign in for Sky, but I could be wrong. I'm thinking maybe that 100k is some kind of signing on fee or some kind of advance on the money. So I'm thinking, because he said we've been discussing this since when? When did he say? He said we've been discussing this since July or something. Didn't he say that? I'll play the footage back in a minute. But I think they've been in negotiations for some kind of deal. And maybe Saunders is expecting some form of upfront payment or some kind of advance on the deal. And I have a feeling that Ben Shalom may have said, yeah, I'll get you that advance and I'll get you that money in order to sign, yeah? I'll get you that signing on fee. I'll get you that advance. I've got a feeling Ben Shalom said yes. I've also got a feeling that Sky said no fucking way. Press 1 if you agree with me on that. Press 2 if you disagree. I'm just guessing. I could be completely wrong. I'm not one of these experts on pay-per-view sales. I'm not one of these experts on who's the star in boxing or TV deals or who gets paid what, yeah? I ain't got time for that. But that's what it seems like to me. It seems like they've been negotiating a deal to bring Billy Joe Saunders to Boxer Sky, and there's some kind of money up front that's been talked about. And I think that Shalom has said, yeah, I've got no problem giving you that money up front, or I've got no problem giving you that money. But I think Sky might have said, nah, fuck that. We're not giving him that. And that's what it was. Richard agrees as well. Jason Walker disagrees. Jason, you're welcome on. If you've got an opinion on what you think it is, let me know what you think it is. Guys, if you don't think it's that, can you tell me what you think it is? I could be completely wrong. But let me know if you've got an alternative theory. My theory is that's some kind of signing on fee or some kind of upfront payment that's been negotiated as part of a deal. I think if that's the case, maybe Saunders has got a little bit fed up with these negotiations. Maybe he's got a little bit fed up with these ongoing negotiations with Sky and Boxer. He's thrown his toys out of his pram and now he's hanging Ben Shalom out to dry. What do you guys think about that? Do you agree or disagree? Or do you think it could be something completely different? That's what it seems like to me. I'm going to play this one last time, okay? Just so you guys can make your mind up. Do you agree with my analysis or disagree? I'm probably talking up my arse, but let's just try this one more time.
You're secure anyway.
No,
Would
Ben,
that be all right?
Ben. It's gone past that, mate, because we've been here now since July talking, mate.
No. So I'm saying, if I can't get you that by the end of the week, then I just can do the 100 grand. But I don't want. I actually have looked up to you growing up. I don't want this situation with you. I think I can do what you want, but I've got to a point now where I feel like Sky have fucked me, and I know you don't care about that, but that I'm not going to fuck you. And I want, look, I know you say it's gone past the stage, but if I put in a contract where you've got, like, I've got to deliver.
What do you think? Give me your theories over what that conversation's about. You've heard my theory there. You've heard my theory about what that 100 grand's about. Tell you, I just think, Ben Shalom really should cut his losses with Saunders. What do you guys think? Can I ask you guys a question? Why is Ben Shalom chasing Saunders in the way he's chasing him? Like, he's not like a... I don't want to get into the whole he's a star, he's not a star bullshit. But I'm just saying, like, well, let's put it this way. When Billy Joe, why would it? Sean at Medieval said, let's hope it isn't related to Kinahan. Why in fuck's earth would it be related to Kinahan? And if it was, why would Saunders release that? He would surely not, right? If that had anything to do with Kinahan or was going to shed Kinahan in a bad light, Saunders wouldn't have released that and put it on his Instagram, surely. He's a lot of things, right? But he's not a snitch, right? He's not going to do something that's going to incriminate Kinahan, is he? I think it's got anything to do with Kinahan. I think it's just a simple signing on, some kind of signing on fee or money up front or an advance that they're arguing about. But, Simon Manager saying, Eubank versus Saunders rematch on Sky pay-per-view. And Harvey Brown said exactly the same thing. Eubank fight tickles Shalom. It won't happen. Dench says Sky didn't want a contract that said they had to deliver X amount for Billy. It's interesting, isn't it? Don't know why Ben Shalom's sort of falling over himself. Let's put it this way. When Billy Joe was with Frank Warren, people used to make fun of him and say he couldn't draw flies to shit on a hot summer's day. Is that correct, right? That's what they used to say when he was with Frank Warren. They said he couldn't draw flies to shit on a hot summer's day, right? Now, I don't know if the Magic Man Eddie Hearn has turned Billy Joe Saunders into some massive mega draw that millions of people around the UK are just chomping at the bit to pay pay-per-view for. But I find it a bit funny that Ben Shalom was chasing him to that degree and deferring to him to that degree. But it is interesting. And there, I think Yoking mentioned saying, Ben Shalom there trying to curry favour with Billy Joe Saunders saying, I looked up to you growing up. How the fuck old is Ben Shalom then? How old is he? He looks 40 to me. Ben Shalom. How old is he? Oh, he's only 27. So you need the same age as Conor Benn. Wow. Fucking hell. Looks 40 to me. He says, Billy, I was a big fan of you growing up. For what? For what? We're getting a split against John Ryder on Box Nation. What the fuck you look up to him for? Man, I used to love Billy Joe Saunders back in the day. Oh my, I used to love this dude so much, man. I used to defend this man to the hilt. You know what? If I was a grass, the things I could tell you about Saunders, if I was a grass, but I ain't a grass. And I've done far worse in my life anyway, but... Do you know what I mean? Yeah, that's it. John Ryder is split against John Ryder on Box Nation. Jesus Christ almighty. I don't know what to say, man. But for me, like I said before, that what he did today, that's ratting. That's snitching. That is snitching. Private phone call of somebody. You know Ben Shalom will come back grovelling, don't you? You know Ben Shalom's going to pick up the phone and say, you know, oh, Billy, why'd you do that? Well, you didn't have to. Come on, Bill. Come on, Bill. You didn't have to upload that video for me. Come on, Bill. I know. I can't do the Ben Shalom voice. I can't. He actually sounds similar to a rival YouTube channel, doesn't he? There's another very, very popular YouTube channel out there, which I think is absolutely amazing. He does actually sound a little bit like Ben Shalom. Hold on a minute. Billy, I'll try and do the lick. Has he got a bit of a... Billy, you know, I can't do it. But, you know, he will say, you know, Billy, listen, Billy, you know, you didn't have to do that, you know. Come on, Billy. You didn't have to, you know, I looked up to you growing up, Billy. You know, I looked up to you growing up, you know. It's Sky, Billy. Sky are fucking me over. Billy. You just, you know, I'll try and get you the 100k. Like, you know, Ben Shalom. He's just so, he's is that Nigel Benn? It's closer to Ben, isn't it? I'm not a very good impersonator. Crazy D3 says, who is soft? Let's do a poll very quickly before we go. Let's do it for a bit of a laugh. Let's do it. So you players says, please make this impression something you do every show. I can't impersonate people. If you give me a sec, we'll do a new poll. So if you want to vote on the current poll, now is the time. Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe if you'd like to be, you know. Oh, by the way, can I say something? There's a few people complaining about, oh, we're not getting notifications. Well, you need to unclick the bell, click the bell, and you'll get notifications. You know what I mean? Come on, you're 40 years old, didn't it? You know how to use YouTube. Right, let me do a new poll. Right, this current poll was ending. Was BJS right to release a video of himself having a private conversation with... Ah, Marco's back! Yay! Was Billy Joe Saunders right to release a video of himself in a private conversation with Ben Shalom? 74% of you say no. Right, let's do this new poll. This is one from Dench, yeah? It's one from Dench. Alright? Who is softer? Ben Shalom or Frank Smith? I know the answer to this. And I know the answer to this. But I'll let you guys vote on it. Who's softer out of the two? Ben Shalom or Frank Smith? You can do it. Look at that poll. You guys are on it straight away. Listen, Ben Shalom's bad, yeah? But he ain't that bad. Oh my lord. Who's softer? Jesus Christ. Listen, Ben Shalom might be a lot of things. Ben Shalom ain't never, ever gonna turn up on camera and let his own missus mug him off in front of 100,000 people for 24 minutes and 33 seconds. There's just no way Ben Shalom would ever allow that. Whatever you think of Ben Shalom, yeah? Whatever you think of Ben Shalom as a human being, I promise you, there's no way Ben Shalom would sit in front of a camera for 24 minutes and 33 seconds with his own fiancée rinsing the living fuck out of him. Do you know what I love about this video so much? You don't even have to play the video. Just look at the way he looks. And look at how she's looking at him. Just look at that picture. He's got that look on his face. Help. Help me, help. Look at the look on his face. Fuck. Surprised Coogan didn't turn around and say, Frank, blink if you need us to get you out of here, Frank. It looks like an ISIS hostage video, doesn't it? The only thing we're missing here is a flipping balaclava and a kitchen knife. Look at the state of this. Can I ask you a genuine question? Who thinks it's a good idea to get married to somebody who looks at you like that? Seriously, like. How can it be a good idea to get married to somebody who looks at you like that? It's not for me, mate. It ain't for me, but let's have a look at the poll. This is going to be a quick poll. Who's softer, Ben Shalom or Frank Smith? Wow, look at this. No, get voting. 56 votes. I'm going to give you an extra minute. Get voting. It's only 60-40 to Frank Smith. I thought this would be like a 90-10. But it's close. It's 50-50. Who is softer, Ben Shalom or Frank Smith? It's close. 41% Ben Shalom, 59% Frank Smith. I'm going to give you another minute to vote on that poll. Blue Collar Sports says she looks at him how we all look at him. You got to feel for Frank Smith, don't we? With all due disrespect, with all respect, you do have to feel for Frank Smith, don't you? Wake up in the morning to a look like that. No wonder he isn't very good at his job, with all due respect, is he? I mean, if you woke up in the morning looking like that, fucking hell, look. Jesus. All right, let's leave him. She is stunning, though, in my opinion. She's a very, very good looking woman. She looks just like her. She looks just like her mother, Karen. She's a very good looking woman, and of course, then after Frank Smith's been done there, he then gets beaten up on camera by his best mate, didn't he? That's not fair, is it? Look, he ain't gets beaten up by his best mate. It's not fair, is it? How's that fair? Look how they got him coming in the ring though. Why has he got his hair in a ponytail? Why they got his hair in a ponytail? That's Eddie, innit? That's Eddie to a T, innit? You see Eddie in the camera. By the way, can you see the gloves that Eddie Hearn's got on? What gloves are those? Are those 16s? By the way, guys, quick question. Those gloves, those Everlast that Eddie Hearn's got on, do they look like 16s to you? Maybe they are. Can somebody tell me? What do you think they look like? Them gloves he's got on. Maybe they are 16s. Don't know, you know. In one of the shots, they look a bit small. There's it's saying they're 14s. They don't look like 16s to me. Gee, Eddie Hearn doesn't muck about, does he? Eddie Hearn, look at this. We'll leave it at this. This is Eddie Hearn in a nutshell. Look, that is Eddie Hearn in a nutshell, isn't it? Look, 6'6", 6'6", 300 pounds. The one time he gets in the ring on camera, that's his opponent. Look at his gloves. It looks like he's even got gloves that are smaller than 16s. And there he is, look, hold on, whipping in the body shots. Look at him go for that one, look. What a mate he is, eh? What a fucking mate he is. Jesus Christ, with friends like that, who needs enemies? You see, look at Hearn whipping that left hook to the body in there with his little 12, 14 ounce gloves against an opponent who's about half his size. Got him trapped in the corner and he's whipping them in there. He's whipping them in. Lovely stuff. Lovely, innit? With mates like that, what can you do, innit? Outrageous. When it's Jake Paul, now you see when Jake Paul and him talked about a spar. Do you remember that? How long did that conversation last? Do you remember? Don't you see him pulling off that same shit with Jake Paul? When it's Simon Jordan or it's what's his name? Frank Smith. Eddie will put the gloves on, won't he? Eddie will put the gloves straight on. When it was Jake Paul though, he want to go through lawyers, didn't he? When it's Jake Paul, he want to go through the lawyers. You don't want to put his little 12. You don't want to put his little 12-ounce Everlast on when it's time for Jake Paul. For obvious reasons, innit? Anyway, yes, Snazzy Azzy. Eddie Hearn's head is over his front foot. Yeah, he's also thrown a left hook to the body, and this is why. Let me say one thing in closing, right? Body sparring. Here's a little tip, right, from me to you. When you body spar, you should be in the same stance that you are normally, right? Does that make sense what I'm saying? So what's happened here is these two have had a body spar and they're doing it wrong because all they're defending is the body. Does that make sense? When you do a body spar, you're not supposed to just cover your body and leave your head open. That defeats the object of a body spar. Make sense? That completely defeats the object of a body spar. The whole point of a body spar is to get into your normal boxing stance. So you're not just going to hold your hands over your body and cover up your body. You get into normal boxing stance, normal boxing guard, and you try and obviously parry and pick off the shots to the body. It's basically a safer form of sparring. You're not supposed to just get in there and just cover your body. Because, do you know what I mean? It is what it is. Look at this here, look. And you're right, look. See, his right hand is nowhere near his chin, but of course, like I said before, it's Frank Smith, so he knows he ain't got to worry about that, and it's in the thing. Dench says Eddie wanted to spar Bob Arum. He'll spar anybody other than anybody can actually fight, won't he? He'll spar anybody other than anybody who's his own size who can actually fight. Anyway, guys, take care of yourselves and each other.